here in Forest Park, we have come to this great old loft building. I've got three Forest Park people. On the left is Connie. I'm sorry, on the right is Connie. Next to her is Larry and John. We'll introduce all of you later, but what we're talking about today is this great opportunity that the village of Forest Park has found, right? This old factory was going to be condos and townhouses. The developer's been foreclosed. So what's your idea here, Larry?
Well, the Park District saw this as an opportunity. The Park Board saw a blighted area, blighted property, and now we're looking at possibly making this. It's right next to our big park in town, and this would just make very good access to more parkland, more green space, and we just think it would be a good idea. And John Doss, one of our park commissioners, and Connie, they're here. You know, Connie's one of the Friends of the Park, supportive of this project. We'll obviously have to go out for a referendum for it.
You're both Forest Park residents, right? What do you think is the general mood? Are people interested in spending what sounds like about $5 million with buying it and converting it? Are people interested? Are they up for it?
I think so. I'm actually, we'll find out, but I think so.
Yeah? Connie?
I agree. I think it remains to be seen. Obviously, we have to talk to them, but the few people I've discussed it with have been very, very positive about acquiring the property. One of the arguments being that for large space in this town, this is the greatest acquisition to the greatest park in the area. And if we lose this, we'll lose an opportunity to expand that park, which is really the park of Forest Park.
Yeah.
So it would really enhance that property a lot, and obviously offer the services for the people, which I think they deserve.
Yeah, I think we talked about you want to demolish some, but you would try to keep, among other things, this original tower, right?
Yes, I mean, we see that as another attraction for the people in town. I mean, that you can, from that tower, you can see the city of Chicago. You can see we have one of the best, at least I think, one of the best fireworks around. That would be great.
Oh, and sit up there to watch them?
For the fireworks.
That could be cool.
It's right here. And so, like Connie said, to make it continuous with our park that we have now, it's about 12 acres. I think it would be a real asset to the village.
So we're pointing out here the structure, all of this is the Roos factory, and literally across the street is this nice big park. What we've got nearest is the tennis courts. What else is over here?
There's a multi-purpose field with artificial turf. There's a baseball and softball field further down. There's another building that was built in the 1930s. In fact, the Park District celebrating 75 years of existence, their anniversary this year. So the building was built by the WPA in the 30s, and at that time, people had to vote whether to acquire this property. So
in the 1930s,
in the 30s, so
in a previous turn down.
If you look back into the newspapers and stuff, which we have, you'll see there was some discussion. Do we buy this property? Do we not? Well, here 75 years later, we have one of the most beautiful parks, at least I think.
So now we are looking out over the yard, essentially, of this project. All of what I'm looking at now was to be townhouses, right?
Correct. These would be townhouses, and then those would be like loft condominiums all along that building there.
Now, I think you told me that is not an original piece of the building, and that's something you would suggest demolishing?
I would say take all this down all the way over to the end of this wall and leave the original Roos building.
Keep this building that has the tower and that we're in now.
Exactly.
Partly, you've pointed out, it is beautifully constructed. It's got great old brick masonry walls, the heavy beams, possibly original timber.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, it's all original timber. We had an architect take a look at it. It's all original timber. Some of it's cedar, some of it's, I think, Douglas fir, and of course the brick.
Yeah.
It's very sought after right now.
Sort of an irreplaceable facility.
Oh, definitely.
So then we put park business facilities, meeting rooms, that sort of thing.
Meeting rooms, classrooms. You know, there's a lot of community groups in town that are looking for affordable places to meet We have a Special Rec Association interested in the first floor here. And it'd be a central place for the 11 towns that are part of the Special Recreation Association.
And then out back, we've got all this room. I think you said a little more than 2.5 acres to put anything, tennis courts, gym, whatever it would be.
Exactly. So there's so much spots, a community garden for, you know, a lot of people, and kids don't get to experience things like that, growing corn, growing vegetables, things like that, some more playing fields for the kids. There's just a lot of opportunity here, but we're going to get input from the village, from the residents of the village, obviously, to help us decide what to do. Correct.
What would you like to see in here now? You're a resident and a member of the Friends of the Parks. What would you put in here if you had sort of a blank slate and a blank check?
Oh, wow. That you have to give me a few minutes. A blank check is what really threw me.
What does the Park District need? What does Forest Park's Park District need that this might provide?
Park District needs more space.
Yeah.
Period. To really service the community well, and facilities. You know, like gyms and just even places to hold their classes, because that's a limited space. It's an existing place where they do it. And this would be ideal. I mean, you could have your yoga, your workout classes, even a gym upstairs or something. I'd like to see a basketball court. But the youth center is really, truly what I'd like to see. That would be something that would have, like, you know, games, you know, like
Team
video
programming.
games.
At one time, we had an open teen room at the Park District, and we operated that through a grant through the state. And between, use and running out of money, I guess, then the village took it over, and they have it now like a teen center, I think 2 or 3 days a week. So
See, they need something every day of the week. There's a lot of kids here that need, you know, just need some...
Need a place to be.
Everybody that I've ever talked to in any town I've ever been in has always had problems with youth.
Yeah.
Because they become a little disenfranchised, they're trying to find their independence, they need a place to go. And I've had this conversation, like I said, in many different places, even in different states. Everybody struggles with it. I think there's a remedy right here.
Well, and let's look at it from the opposite direction, right? If this place stays empty, it is gonna be where youth hangs out in the other way, right?
Not the kind that we designed without the supervision.
John, you've lived in Forest Park your whole life, and your grandparents were here in Forest Park. I think you said your grandfather was a park commissioner.
Park and village commissioner.
Park and village commissioner. What do you think this would provide for Forest Park if this became a park facility as opposed to the residential stuff it was going to become? What does it do for Forest Park?
It's definitely would enhance the park 100 times. The space alone, making this office or whatever we did with the building, there's really no plans yet, obviously. But it's a win-win situation for everybody involved.
It will be a couple years and a few $1 million, right?
Probably, yeah.
I'm not complaining. I'm just wondering. Right now everybody's budget is pinched.
Yes.
What do you think? Does that go over? You've got a referendum coming up in February. You'll find out. Exactly. But at this moment, what do you do to convince people it ought to happen?
Well, just, you know what, we put out there to tell people their options. We already have people that I think are very supportive, and that's how the start of the Friends of the Park Committee got started. They're very supportive. They like the idea. Again, there was when the developer first came in, the first developer, there was a petition against developing the property. So I think there's some grassroots support there. But as a government agency, what we need to do is just get the information out and give people their options on what they'd like to do.
Sure. And John, again, as a lifelong resident, when you heard it was going to go residential, what was your feeling at the time?
Really, back then, I wasn't on the park board. Lifelong resident, it didn't really bother me it was going to be residential, but now that it fell through and it's not going to be, I think the park could be a great fit.